Saturday Night Live has been a comedy institution for nearly 5 decades, launching the careers of some of the biggest names in entertainment. But behind the sketches, the laughter, and the live audience cheers, things weren't always so funny. For every joke that landed on stage, there were plenty of tense moments, explosive arguments, and even full-blown feuds happening backstage. Today, we're diving into the shocking rivalries and personal grudges among SNL cast members, the ones who absolutely couldn't stand working with each other. Chevy Chase versus Bill Murray. Let's start with one of the most infamous SNL showdowns. Chevy Chase was the show's first breakout star, but his ego quickly rubbed people the wrong way. By the time he returned to host in 1978, tension with the cast was boiling over, and then came Bill Murray. The two got into such a heated argument backstage that it actually turned physical. Punches were thrown, insults were hurled, and the crew had to break them apart. Imagine, two comedy legends brawling right before going live on national TV. Their feud was so intense that decades later, they still couldn't resist throwing shade at each other in interviews. Chevy Chase versus everyone else. But wait, Chevy's story doesn't end there. His arrogance and difficult attitude reportedly made him the most disliked SNL alum of all time. From Dan Aykroyd to Will Ferrell, multiple cast members have spoken about how unbearable he was to work with. When Chase returned to host again years later, things got even worse. He made cruel jokes about people's appearances, mocked the writers, and even insulted Terry Sweeney, the show's first openly gay cast member, in a way that shocked everyone. No wonder Lorne Michaels himself eventually banned Chase from hosting again. Jane Curtin versus Chevy Chase. And while we're at it, let's not forget Jane Curtin. She was one of the original, not ready for primetime players, and she flat out admitted that she hated working with Chevy Chase. According to her, Chase had a massive superiority complex and loved belittling his co-stars. Jane once called him a real piece of work, and no, that was not meant as a compliment. Nora Dunn versus Andrew Dice Clay. Fast forward to the late 80s, when comedian Andrew Dice Clay was set to host SNL. His crude, misogynistic style didn't sit well with everyone, especially cast member Nora Dunn. She refused to appear in the episode, openly protesting his humor. This bold move created a major rift behind the scenes. Some people supported her decision, but others felt she crossed a line by defying the show. The tension grew so strong that Dunn's time at SNL came to an end not long after. Victoria Jackson versus the world. Another name that sparked tension was Victoria Jackson. Known for her quirky, high-pitched persona on the show, she later stirred controversy with her outspoken political and religious views. Former co-stars have hinted that she was difficult to work with even back then, but things only got worse once her public statements made headlines. While not a single feud, her strained relationships made her one of the most polarizing cast members in SNL history. Chris Farley and Norm Macdonald. A tragic twist, not all conflicts were born out of hatred, some came from tough love. Norm Macdonald, known for his dry humor, was openly critical of Chris Farley's destructive lifestyle. He hated seeing Farley spiral out of control, and while it wasn't a personal feud, it did cause friction. Farley reportedly felt judged, while Norm grew increasingly frustrated. Sadly, Farley's untimely death in 1997 made that tension one of the most heartbreaking chapters in SNL history. Final thoughts. For a show built on laughter, Saturday Night Live has had its fair share of behind-the-scenes drama. From physical fights to personal boycotts, the cast wasn't always one big happy family. In fact, sometimes the drama backstage was more explosive than anything we saw on screen, but maybe that's part of what kept the show alive for so long: the passion, the clashing personalities, and the raw emotions that come with putting on live TV every week. At the end of the day, the rivalries just prove one thing: comedy might look easy, but behind the curtain, it can get downright ugly.